Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. I want to welcome you on this Monday morning, starting a new week with Panhandle Outdoors, and after some great last couple of weeks with some really outstanding guests. I have another guest this morning, so we're glad to be able to bring all the outdoor news and all the different facets of the outdoors to you through our guests and through the information we get to share with you. And as always, we do appreciate your viewership. Let's get started with our weather, brought to us by Gulf Coast Air Conditioning. Drew Pollard and a hardworking crew taking care of our everyday comfort needs. Today's high 76, low 63. Water temperature still around 62 degrees. Our Monday moon forecast tonight is a new moon. Check it out. It's going to be a dark sky, and it's going to start waxing up starting tomorrow night. So a beautiful, clear sky, hopefully, and you can see a lot of stars out tonight. And as we start wrapping up our winter stargazing, take a look at our tide chart. Now, brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn. We're looking at, look one more time. Make sure you take advantage of this great tide that's wrapping up. Today's going to be good, tomorrow's be decent, and then the rest of the week is all neat tides. Today's low tide is at 7:02 this morning, coming on in to about 11 tonight. So these neat tides will be coming with us. So if you're a tidal fisherman, you got it today and tomorrow, and then that's going to be it. Man, what great tides we had last week. Winds will be coming out of west-southwest at about 10 to 11. Okay, let's take a break. We'll be right back with our guest. Okay, welcome back, and welcome to a familiar guest here on Panhandle Outdoors, Captain Rick Corley. Welcome back.
Good morning.
Glad to have you back.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
Well, I hadn't seen you a month or two. Everything been going well?
Yeah, it's doing real well. Of course, you know, I've had a new dog since July.
Okay.
And
yeah.
We were talking earlier, this hat, somebody sent me two of these hats. I have no idea who it was. I appreciate it.
We're going to get, I took a picture of it. Let's look at this cap. It says Captain Rick on it, okay?
Yeah, and it says Peyton right under the puppy dog.
That's a dog, okay.
Yeah.
Look at there. Got a dog's name, it's got Captain Rick on it.
Yeah.
And you don't know where you got it from?
No, I have no idea. It was sent to me in the mail.
Well, you're talking about doing something good for somebody. Somebody did something good for you right there.
Yeah, wonders never cease.
How about that?
Yeah.
Well, was Santa Claus good to you? Have you been good and everything going good?
Yeah, I was good to me. I bought me a couple more shooting irons.
Okay, we'll get those guns and all. But first, let's talk about what's going on with the Shout-Eye Shriners.
The Shout-Eye Shrines having their 7th annual rodeo. And it's at the, what'd you call that, Fountain?
Well, it's the Fountain Youngstown Recreational Complex on Highway 20.
Right.
Okay.
Go up 231, take a right, and it's about 2 miles down on the left.
Okay.
And it's $15 per person. 4 and under is free. They start at 5 o'clock. It's on the 3rd and 4th. That's Friday and Saturday of March.
Okay.
In the first week of March. And pretty good rodeo.
Okay.
You'll enjoy it. It's good entertainment.
All right, so we got, here we go, let's see, let me get it this way.
Yeah.
It's the 7th annual, they call it Bay County Ballpark.
That's the old Bay County Ballpark.
Okay.
It's now.
So you can register as this is your registration form.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's if you want to advertise or be a vendor. And it's got all the rates. If they don't have a banner, we'll make one for you. It's 3 foot by 5 foot, and if we make the banner and put it up, it's $300. If you have a banner, we'll still take it and put it up for $200.
Okay. And so this gives you all the information on it right there.
And of course, there's your non-food vendors, and depending on how much size.
So you have vendors with food and vendors without food.
That's correct. Yeah.
And
now there's the gentleman you need to call if you want one of these. Is Chris Bodish, and he's rodeo chairman. And it's his number there.
All right, that's interesting. Vendors with payment are confirmed on a first come, first served. So if you get it early, you can go and pick out what you need. What
There's a lot of people come to this thing, so it's a good venue.
I remember.
The beauty of it is what we make off of the rodeo, the Shriners, it all goes to the Crippled Children's Hospital.
Okay.
And that's important. There's the reason for it.
We're going to talk about that too. Let's finish the back page. On the back page, just gives you basic information on the setup times. You set up Friday and their event sponsor. We've had these folks on before. They're talking about this rodeo. So that's just information from the Shout Out Temples. Old Brad Clark. Now, call Brad. Just call him and tell him you want him to come on Panhandle Outdoors. He's one of my neighbors. He grew up around about a block from our house. 527-2634. Been with Shriners a long time.
Yep.
And you talk about Shriners. All the volunteers, all the folks that do all the work, they're all volunteers.
Yeah, I ain't getting paid today.
You're not getting paid, and
I'm getting paid what I'm worth.
Yeah, and it goes to such a good cause.
Yeah.
We've had
yeah. If you ever have a chance to go visit the Crippled Children's Hospital in Tampa, or Spartanburg, Greenville area up in the Carolinas, or go into the Burns Clinic in Houston, and see some of these kids, and especially like I used to a long time ago, I would use Foster's 421 Cessna, and we'd take a kid to last one.
So you were the pilot that took some of them?
And we'd take him to the hospital, and I would borrow his airplane. He'd furnish airplane fuel, and of course he didn't have time to take away from work, so he knew I could fly the airplane, so he just turned it over to me and I'd fly him up there. The last trip I made was a long time ago, back in the 70s. I took a kid that got burned over at St. Joe.
Yeah.
And we carried him to Spartanburg, and they fixed him up, and then I went back 6 months later and got him and brought him home.
Wow.
And the difference between when I saw him, and I'm serious, he was what the firemen would used to call a crispy critter almost. He was burnt really bad, and it was amazing. That kid was walking and smiling and doing good, and they didn't think he was going to make it.
Yeah.
So when you get those, you really appreciate it.
Well, and the miracles they can do now with the technology and what that was in the 70s. You can imagine how they can do now. The accomplishments they've
Absolutely.
gained.
And now one of the things that the Shrine is doing is if you're a vet that got an IED or something and you need prosthesis, they're helping them.
Yeah.
They're doing something.
That's right. You see that a lot of those ads on TV and all about that.
Yep.
So we're talking about doing good things and all. The Shriners, it's nothing new. They've been doing it a very long time. So we appreciate that.
I'm 70, be 78 right soon, and I've been one since 21.
Oh man. Yeah. All right, let's take our break. We'll be right back with Captain Rick. Okay, welcome back. Glad you're with us on this Monday morning. We'll get back with Captain Rick in just a second. I want to show a couple of pictures. We just couldn't get them squeezed in last week, so here we go. Let's catch up with them. Frank Davis down at Howard Creek. Okay, we had a great day in the ditch today. Go fishing. It's good for you. And folks, that's the ditch. What he's referring to, look at that mess of fish.
Wow.
I'm sitting right here. Look at that mess. That's the ditch. That's when I get high water coming up out of the river, and actual water goes in the ditch.
Yeah.
And that's a good mess of fish there. Frank, thank you for sharing that with us. There you go, right there. And I know you all had a good time. Okay, Johnny, someone said this. Winston, Johnny McAllister got a nice 8-point Saturday. Good time right at the end of the season. Still getting those big bucks. Way to go, Johnny McAllister. Yeah. Billy Grantham, sweetheart. She always outfishes him. She's always been a great catch for me, but she's a fine fisherman. Billy, all he does is take pictures of it, and he'll come over here and talk about it. Joe Mercurio, this is down at Carabel, had to work a little harder. He was slow by, but he still got 2 redfish and 6 black drum. Okay, let's see, you got a drum here, and sheephead. There's that sheephead. Look at all those teeth in there.
Yep. Don't put your finger in it.
Oh no, they'll bite. One more. Someone sent this as a remember. If y'all still see some of these are PVC. What we do? We built them there at Mosley Outdoor Ed a while back, and we put them at the boat ramp so people could put their extra fish monofilament line and we'd clean them out. We had a
That
little,
way you don't kill the pelicans and everything else that gets tangled up in it.
and we've shown some recent pictures. If you remember last week, we showed the pictures of some of the bird and wildlife getting caught up.
Yeah.
It happens all the time. So, but I don't know if this program. We had a situation, had it set up where the kids, we had the boat ramps, and they would have an assignment once a month, and they would go get the monofilament out.
Yeah.
But if you can see some of these at the ramps, let us know. Let me know, and I'll try to get the outdoor class to maybe build some more of them,
Yeah.
and make sure we get them out, especially the fishing season coming on. And I know you've been here your whole life, and you've
Yeah.
seen these kind of things happen.
Yeah, it's like don't throw plastic in the water, especially garbage bags, because sea turtle thinks that's a jellyfish, and that's what they eat, so they eat the bag and it kills them.
Yeah, this is really good teaching kids to do it. You can do this at home and all. Just take a big PVC pipe, put a curb on it, and they just dump it in there, and you sit on a 4x4 at the boat
Yeah.
ramp, and
Yep.
they're pretty popular
It's a good
now.
program.
And I don't know if we, with the hurricane and all, some of them we might have lost some of them.
May have lost some. of it.
That's something good. Even in the Jackson County area, down in Franklin County, the outdoor class there, that might be something you can do over in Walton County.
Sure.
Yeah, so that's a good thing to do. Okay, Rick, you had some more stuff, or?
Well, no, this pretty much covers.
Okay.
Other than I wanted to reiterate, it's $15 a person to get in. Four and under is free, and it's going to be a good rodeo. There's just no two ways about it. They do a good job.
Well, let's reflect back on the pilot days, and you flew some interesting people and all, being a pilot, and you did things
Yeah.
like that with the Shriners. So
Yeah.
you enjoyed those days of being a pilot.
Oh yeah. I still go out and fly once in a while. I always take a flight instructor with me now, and simply because of my age. It's
Yeah.
you ain't gonna live forever, and I'd hate to be up there and have somebody in the airplane and me go. They don't know how to fly. That's a bad.
Do you have a
place to be.
parachute?
No, no. The airplane's a parachute. If you handle it right, you put the airplane where it needs to be.
Yeah.
I've done that twice, and,
Yeah.
and I'm still here.
And a lot of people don't know you flew for the Fish and Game Commission.
No,
back then,
it was.
Is it Game
It
Official?
is now. Back then, it was the old Florida Marine Patrol.
Florida Marine Patrol.
Yeah, I was a sergeant and pilot with them for back in 1970.
Y'all do some good surveillance, or you just flew
Yeah,
people
no,
place to place?
no, we were doing that. In fact, you were talking about that in, I think it was 1970 or 71. I can't remember which year. They had an incident with Cuba fishing in our waters off Dry Tortugas.
Uh-huh.
And I was the one that found them fishing in our waters. I was flying the Baron and on patrol out there. We turned over the old Fort Jefferson out there and looked down. And of course, I had Danny Severs with me. He was observing. He says, "They don't look like American boats down there fishing." And about that time, he says, "But they're not doing much. They're barbecuing on the back deck." And I looked over his shoulder and I reached up and shoved the throttles all the way forward. He said, "What's going on?" I said, "That ain't barbecue. That's gunfire."
Whoa.
And they're shooting at us.
No kidding.
Yeah. And so we went away and got out. And I got up high, called it in. I said, "Don't know." They said, "Well, can you tell what country?" And I said, "No," but I said, "We fixing to."
Mm-hmm.
So I went out and come diving in. And of course, I was at the red line on the airplane. Went through the middle of the boats. They were kind of in a semicircle. And I told them, I said, "See if you can see a flag or anything that identifies the boat." Well, we went through them, and sure enough, one of them had a Cuban flag painted on the roof.
Huh.
And he says, what's red, white, and blue, and you got one white star? I said, "That's Cuban."
Mm-hmm.
And so we went on through and went back to Key West to refuel. And of course, they sent the Marine Patrol out there and the Coast Guard, and they captured 3 of the boats. There were 11 of them, and the other 8 got outside the international water, and we couldn't bother them. But the 3 we caught, they took them to the Key West brig. Back then, the JO was the Navy brig.
Yeah.
And they let them go to keep an international incident down. But it was kind of interesting.
That is interesting. What kind of snapper fishing, grouper fishing?
They were snapper fishing.
Snapper fishing, yeah.
Did that, or they'd probably eat anything to get snook around there like crazy.
Yeah, and that's such a good area for that snapper.
Grouper and snapper and snook, fish like that. And funny thing down there, you go into Fort Jefferson, that's a beautiful place. There, between the coaling docks where they used to bring coal, because everything back then they had to heat with coal, cook and everything, where they had made it illegal to catch lobster anywhere except between the two coaling docks. Lobster somehow figured out don't go in that area, because if you do, you get caught. If you stay over here, you'll be all right. And I tried to catch one that's about that long.
That's funny.
And
Mama Lobster told those kids not to go there. Don't
go over there.
Don't go play over there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a break. We'll be right back with Captain Rick. Okay, welcome back. Today we're Captain Rick Corley. Good information and reminiscing about some of these things, and we're going to talk about something else right now. But first, let's take a look at our fishing game times, brought to us by Blue Water Outriggers in Port St. Joe. And guess what? Just one time today, it's going to be from 11:28 to 1:28. And the reason being, we're talking about the full moon and new moon. When we get those situations, we usually squeeze it into one time. And it's always interesting to watch that, because instead of having those two major feeding times, it just goes right there in the middle of the day. So just keep tabs on that, just for your own sake. And you'll see a lot of movement now today around the middle of the day, birds and everything else. Okay, Captain Rick, I know you love your guns and all. You have a great collection, and I thought you had enough, but you ended up getting some more.
Yeah, well, Ruger has come out with this a carbine and a pistol in 5.7 by 2.8, and I really like it. I looked at it and I thought, well, and I've read several articles and they were talking highly of them, so I bought two and went out and shot them, and that what they said was true. It's a really good round, and it's not cheap, but it's a really good firearm. Ruger's hits jackpot on those two. They're fun to shoot.
Yeah.
The carbine's only about this long.
Okay.
It's real handy, and pretty powerful.
Okay.
Other than that, just I go out and shoot once a month. I try to go.
Is that you go out once a month, and what?
Yeah, but I don't go. A friend of mine's got a range in back of his house.
Okay.
And that way it doesn't get cost prohibitive.
How do you decide all those guns? How do you decide which one you want to shoot that day?
I walk in there and go eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
I can understand that.
And no, it depends on what we're doing that day, and I'll pick what I want to shoot. Yeah. And sometimes I'm got somebody, and of course I don't keep all of mine in one place. Yeah. They're scattered out, so that's the other thing. So many thieves anymore. I don't do that.
It's not a smart thief to go to someone with a gun collection, because
no, and not this one, because I still shoot real good for an old man, and I'm not going to bother anybody if they'll leave me alone. But if they bother me, that won't be good for them.
All right, I understand. A lot of people feel that way. To protect their property and all.
Sure.
Let's go. We've got a couple minutes left. Let's reflect back. I know you've been here. You have so many memories. We talked about you flying, the kids, the burned kids, and all.
Yeah, when we grew up, I can remember in the '60s, and I didn't think anything about it, but I had done a count for my dad one time, because we had the marina, and I went around to all the other marinas and did the account for him to see what the market was on boats and all, because we had a shipyard too. Mm-hmm. And people don't realize, back in the '60s, we had 30 big, what they call head boats, 65 foot and up.
That's amazing.
Operating out of this bay, and had 285 trolling boats, which were six-pack boats, operating out of all the marinas total. And it was the fishing capital of the Gulf Coast.
That's what I don't understand even to today, why we don't have more head boats out there, because that was a heyday in the '60s. I mean, people get on head boats and catch it.
Well, to be quite honest with you, one of the things was the electric reels, we fished too hard on the brood stock,
Yeah.
And the other is, we got down that and some of the other fishing techniques we were using back then, we didn't realize it was too good. The fish didn't have a chance.
Yeah.
If they'd stayed hand lining and rod and reels.
Every one of the old timers I talked to when I drew my book, every one of them, as they look back on it, regretted going to electric reels.
Yeah.
They at the time they thought it was great, but then as they look back on it, they realized what was going on because it was day after day after day.
Well, it was ignorance, but and it wasn't, a lot of people say it was greed. I said no, they was just
it wasn't
trying
greed.
to,
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't. It was just they didn't know that much about the fish and their habits and everything else, and and I talked to the fellow that's staying right down the block from where I live, that's down here renting a home for about a month. He comes down every so often, and we got to talking about fishing. And when I explained to him how fish reproduce and all, he says, "Wow!" He said, "I didn't know that."
Yeah.
And I said, "Yeah, a lot of them didn't know back then." I said, "Where we began to learn is when we got the fisheries lab here."
Yeah, and it was a combination of things too. Just a massive overcatch, plus no limits really to speak of, and you saw all those pictures, and that's the result. And the captain said, "Well, they're going to be there tomorrow. They're going to be there next year." And then started going down. They realized it, and they started slowing down themselves on their own.
It's like Apalachicola Bay. Two things that have hurt that bay. One was overfishing the bay, but two, Atlanta taking the water because their population has gotten so big. Well, you got to have a perfect match of fresh water and salt water to make an oyster. Well, we're not getting the fresh water down now. It's being used up. And
now, we're about to run out of time, but a lot of folks are starting to realize that and trying to make a difference and all, and building oyster bars and doing things like that. So anyway, folks are a lot more aware of it now.
Yep.
Well, Captain Rick, we appreciate you coming on, buddy.
Thank you.
And don't forget,
y'all come to the rodeo.
Don't forget the rodeo, week after March 3rd and 4th, okay?
Yep.
Appreciate y'all watching Panhandle Outdoors. As always, we ask you to do something good for your fellow man. You have a great day. Enjoy our Florida Panhandle Outdoors, and God bless.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.